People go crazy for toasted products these days, and this bottle is no exception. Today we're doing a review of Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So today we're diving into a bottle that I have personally been after for quite some time and was given to me as a gift, so super grateful for that. But this is Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. This is one of those bottles that sort of sits in that slightly allocated but relatively findable categories for most people across the country. I have not personally been able to see it at a good price. I think I've seen it once or twice on shelves, pretty highly marked up, but again, was able to get this as a gift, which was super nice. So this product comes to us from Heaven Hill Distillery, which creates the entire Elijah Craig lineup. They have the small batch Elijah Craig, which is around $30 and widely available. Then 3 times a year they release the barrel proof, which has A, B, and C batches. I've been able to get my hands on a few of those. Love those, 12-year-old, non-chill filtered whiskey, and if you get it at MSRP around $70, great value. Then you've got the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, which kind of sits in the middle as a well sought after bottle, not nearly as high proof, not as high octane, but kind of its own distinctive thing. So let's just take a look at the stats here and what we're looking at with the bottle. So just like the small batch, it is a 94 proof bourbon, 47% alcohol. The mash bill is the same as Elijah Craig, obviously, which is 78% corn, 12% malted barley, and 10% rye. It's relatively low rye presence here. And then, of course, this is the toasted barrel. So it is taken out of its original barrel. Not sure how long the aging process is for just standard Elijah Craig, but however long that is, they then take this product and put it into a second toasted new oak barrel. So instead of charring it deeply like you do for a standard bourbon barrel, it's just lightly toasted on the inside, just like you would toast a piece of toast instead of charring it or burning it. Supposedly this draws out so much more of the wood sugars and allows the finishing process to contribute a lot more of those toasty oaks and marshmallowy kind of brown sugary flavors that we all tend to love in our bourbons. Price on this one is a $50 MSRP, so if you see it for that, I think that's very fair for a finished product overall. Often you'll see it for more like 70, 75, which even at that, I mean, it might be worth it to pick it up for the first time. Still, it's sad to see that a lot of these continue to get marked up. However, the only way to tell about the true value of this is to dive into the whiskey. So I have had one pour of this just to let it open up, but this will, again, be pretty much a first impressions real run through of the whiskey for me. Super excited to dive in. Before we do that, I do want to say that if you're enjoying all the content from the channel, hit that like button, helps get the video out. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join us for the whole journey through 2023. All right, Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel on the nose. Oh yeah, it's definitely toasted. So much woody, sugary marshmallow, like straight up marshmallow. Honey, good amount of honey. But just also a woody presence to it. Kind of like a sticky bun, sticky oak kind of note going on here. Graham cracker for sure. Then there's like a caramel and apple presence. A little bit of a sharp green apple coming through for me. But wrapped around that is like the caramel and graham cracker and marshmallow notes. Really nice, actually much more pungent and powerful than I remember the small batch being. So I think that finishing process has really elevated the presence here in the glass. A little bit of just like a straight up barky kind of wood as well. So kind of tannic. And then maybe a little bit of like a plum or very dark cherry. All right, I mean, that is kind of quintessential classic toasted profile there. I will say overall, I think Elijah Craig small batch already has a nice kind of toasty oak note to it, so this is really turning that up. All right, let's go in on the palate for the first sip. Cheers, everybody. Yeah. A lot of the nose transferred right over directly to the palate. I got a lot of that marshmallowy, graham crackery, honey, s'mores kind of note. There is a big burst of just plain old oak, like woody oak, a little touch of that apple, good caramel note wrapped around that apple and oak as well, and then a little bit of like a spice kick on the back end. But man, that is one of the most consistent experiences I've had from nose to palate. Just really came through with what it promised on the nose, which is cool. Let's go in for a second sip now though and just see if we can pick out some more complexity. Cheers. Yep. Again, very consistent. A lot of that stayed the same with the honey and marshmallow and graham cracker. A little bit of an extra dose of cherry on that one. So just like a nice dark pitted cherry, which I love. Really like that note. More vanilla on that sip. So just kind of pure vanilla extract coming through on that. And then I also got more of just like a barrel char. So straight up, a little bit of char and vanilla and cherry coming through on that sip to add some complexity, maybe a little bit of a darker sip on that turn. All right, let's go in for the third sip. We'll evaluate the finish and recap the experience overall. Cheers. Okay, yeah. So thinking about that whole progression, again, it starts out with those nice sweeter notes, gets a little bit more oaky, and a little bit of that like fruit, like cherry and apple comes through in the middle. Back end for me, and this is really starting to build up on my palate, is like oak, so sort of tannic oak, a little bit of tobacco, and some leather notes. So those wood sugars kind of get a little bit tannic for me, although it did take 3 sips to get there. So I think with the 94 proof, it's not overwhelming the palate with those aged sort of oaky dry notes, but it gets there over time. So that's starting to build up. But I also get a little bit of like just brown sugar and cinnamon on the finish. It's less sweet on the finish, more of a sweet presence up front, nice fruity middle with some darker notes, and then the back end for me gets a little bit drier and oakier, which I would totally expect from a toasted barrel finish. So overall, I gotta say I am really, really pleased with Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. This is really, really nice. I think the 94 proof helps keep things a little bit tame in terms of the toasted finish, and it gives it some time to shine, and it provides a little bit of balance, which I like. I will warn you, if you're not looking for a bourbon that builds up with that oak and tobacco and leather presence, this one might be one to steer away from because it's going to do that. But I really like this finish on this product, and I think I was hoping that it would be really nice because I already anticipated that Elijah Craig had a great profile for a toasted finish, and that came through for me, which I'm really happy about. In terms of final evaluation and pricing here, since this is 94 proof and the mouthfeel is pretty solid but not spectacular, like I would love to be able to pay 50 bucks for this regularly. I mean, sign me up, this would be a staple on my shelves all the time. For 70 to 75 bucks, I still think it's worth it to go out and get your first bottle and try it. But in terms of restocking it over and over again, I'd probably be trying to wait until I could see it for closer to MSRP. Still, really nice bottle here. And again, it's nice to see that that Elijah Craig profile really does match well with a toasted finish. And I think that just makes a lot of sense. It heightens a lot of what's great, especially about that small batch. If you like the Elijah Craig small batch, I think you're really gonna like the Toasted Barrel. All right, everybody, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Have you had Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel? If you've tasted it, what were your opinions? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it's better than the small batch? Is it even better than maybe some of the barrel proofs? I don't know. That could be controversial. And then if you haven't had it yet, is this one that you're hunting? And I hope you find one. Let me know if this is on your list to go out and try next. Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey and cheers.